You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I could be running or I'm chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, life. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle what I had to say. Now you're my tricks and your side chicks, I'm a winner, babe.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. Alright, let's start the show.
Hey. Happy Friday, Junior, y'all. Happy Friday, Junior. Welcome to this week's episode of Nicole D. Vick Live. I am Nicole D. Vick, sitting here with this head wrap on and my little cute little glasses. I'm so happy to see you and to be here. I got some things to share with you, and we're going to talk about an amazing month of episodes coming up. So this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I'm going to talk about, mental health from a Black person's perspective, a Black woman's perspective. I don't know how else I'm going to talk about it. Look at Andrea. Hey, Andrea. Andrea, you remember Andrea, y'all? She was my co-host for Pushing Through. Oh, we had a time. Now, Miss Andrea has moved and left her mama here all by herself here in South Central Los Angeles. It's okay, though. She living her best life in Arizona. Proud of her, doing her thing. And I'm like, look at that, grown. I don't know I can remember people talking about having adult children. And it's not like she just turned an adult. She's been an adult for like 6 years now, well, maybe more than that. I don't know. But it just feels different too when they leave, like bye. It feels a certain way. So I'm glad to see her stopping by. She said you wanted to be left by yourself. See, here she come with the calling me out. It's okay though. Because I did turn her bedroom back into a TV room. That did happen very quickly. I'm glad she's stopping by and leaving her comments in the thing. But anyway, this month is about mental health, but I have to give you some updates on a couple of things. So first of all, y'all know I do my nails. And so we got to show the nail cam and go through my nail looks from last month, which was the month of April. And so I did some really cool things with my nails. And I want to share it with you. So we're going to see that come up real quick. So, I always start my videos off this way. Hey, it's your #1 nail artist coming to you with the new nail look of the week. That's me. Now this, I think I might have shown this from last time. I don't remember, but I had to recycle a look and update it because I didn't have time to redo my nails. And that was me doing that. And it came out really cool, actually. Now, this was using eyeshadow, y'all. I used eyeshadow and I put it on my fingernails and made this kind of really cool look. It looked like fabric to me, like a scarf. It was really cool, but it was hard to do because the top coat didn't really adhere to the eyeshadow. It was weird, but I still made it work. Now, this I used parchment paper crumpled up and used like four different nail polishes and did like a dab, 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 dab. I loved that. I might try that again for sure with maybe different colors. That was super, super cute and super easy. I'm big on easy and cute because we ain't got time. Now, this look is the look I have now. This is like that color shift nail polish. So depending on how you do, this, it's either green or purple. And I'll show you in a second. See that? Purple, green, purple, green. I tickle myself. I'm like, look at that. So those are my nail looks from April. I already have ideas for nail looks for these coming up weeks. I'm so excited. For one, I have to do my graduation nails. Oh, I can show you. So why not? It's right here. I am going to use this really pretty nude, and it has a little bit of sparkle. You probably can't even see it. Where's the camera? Oh, here it is. Here's sparkle. And I'm going to do graduation nails because graduation is coming up. So I brought some charms, some letter charms and some number charms. So I can be like USC and then like 2024. It's going to be real cute. It's going to be real, real, real cute. Don't even worry about it. All right, y'all. So switching gears, I have another update for y'all. Y'all been hearing me talk about school, but I promise you this will be the last time ever that you will hear me talk about school. I defended my dissertation on April 29th, and it was the most, I don't know, I woke up and my stomach was already in knots. Already, just from the first beginning of me opening my eyes, my stomach was balled up. Now, I will say this. I had planned to go to Cal State Long Beach to talk to Dr. Keith Claybrook. Now, if you remember, he was a guest on Nicole D Vick Live for Black History Month. And he wanted me to come to talk to his class about my family history. And we had set April 29th. And we had set April 29th before I was aware that my dissertation date would be April 29th. Okay, so one part of me was like, well, I probably should cancel the dissertation. I mean, no, oh gosh, no, you're not canceling the dissertation. I thought I would cancel with Dr. Claybrook, but then I was like, you know what? I think if I go to his students, I will feel good about talking about my family, and that will help me, right, feel better. And so I did. So I went and I got to talk to them, and they were really happy. And then I came home and I applied for a job, just because where I work, you have to apply. Even if you don't think you're leaving your job, you still should apply because you get put into this bucket and it stays good for a whole year. So I do that now. I've learned my lesson. I do that anyway. For any opportunity, I just apply because you just never know, right? And then I took a little bit of a nap. Me and Mew, I think, consents when, like, okay, she tripping. So Mew came and kind of like laid on me for like an hour or so. And I was like, okay. And then it was time to get up at 2:30 to get ready for this thing. All right. So let me tell you how it goes. Ours are online. Our dissertation defense is online. So you log into Zoom and your committee chair is there. She's like, hey, Nicole, how are you? And then everybody else comes in. I have 4 committee members on my dissertation committee. And she was like, how's everybody doing? And she's going around. I was already crying. I was already teared up. I was already like, she's like, okay, Nicole, are you okay? How are you? And I was like, they were like, okay. So they put me in. They said, okay, this is how we're going to do this. We're going to meet with you, and then we're going to go into a room and put you in the Zoom by yourself and have a conversation. And we're going to come back, and then we're going to ask questions, give feedback, and then we're going to go back in the room, and then we're going to come back and decide. So it was like this back and forth. And I I was fine. The feedback was fine, but then they were asking questions about data analysis. It's not my strong point. Okay, y'all. I did it. I got it done, but I'm not an expert. So, there was an expert on data in the, thing. And I'm like, you're right. And I'm like, oh Lord. And so then at that point, I said, they gonna come back and be like, girl, you ain't ready. Go and sit down somewhere. And I'm like, no. But anyway, they put me back in the little room by myself. So I'm sitting here like this, just waiting for them to come back. And then they said, congratulations. We want to be, congratulate you, Dr. Vick. You have successfully passed your dissertation defense. And then I'm like a crazy person. And then I'm like, I just want to thank all of you, talking like a nutcase. So that whole process is a lot. It is very, very stressful. So I'm glad it's over. I only have to make a few little additions to, or some edits to my dissertation before I can go ahead and send it off to be published. That's sort of the last piece that officially makes me Dr. Vick. A lot of people said, oh, you can take that little C off the end of your thing now. I'm like, no, because I have to wait to get official email from USC saying your degree has been conferred. Then I can call myself Dr. Vick. Now, if you call me Dr. Vick, I can't do nothing about that. But I cannot call myself Dr. Vick at this point in time. But it's coming. It's coming. Okay. All right. Real quick, we're going to pivot. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want to talk about Black women's mental health. And there's some things that I'm going to talk about that are very specific to our health. I feel like we should probably go to commercial in a little bit, but what I want to talk about first of all is intersectionality and mental health. How does the intersectionality of race, gender, and other social identities, right? Class, LGBTQ status, how do those things come together and uniquely impact the mental health of Black women? And so, in our community, I think we're getting a lot better with addressing mental health in our communities, but it's still an issue where a lot of what we do is stigmatized. It gets made fun of, or what's wrong with you? Why don't you do this? Or why don't you pray it away? When prayer is not a bad thing in regards to sort of helping you deal, but there are times when you may need counseling, where you may need medication, where you may need some other types of interventions to address some of those mental health issues. So I want to talk a little bit about those intersectionalities and some of the cultural issues that in some ways can hold us back, and in some ways actually can be really helpful. I also want to say, before we go to commercial, I am not a mental health professional, so I am not speaking from that space. I'm speaking from a public health expert space and from lived experience space, okay? So I don't want nobody to be like, Nicole, here telling people that, no. I'm speaking from my experience as a Black woman for 45 years, and also from the experience of a public health expert that understands sort of some of the issues around population health, prevention, and those sorts of things, okay? So let's go to commercial. When we come back, we're going to dig into it.
Are you ready for enlightening conversations that transcend boundaries? Get ready for Conversations with Clergy, brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. In partnership with the world's largest publicly funded international collaboration, the HVTN is dedicated to evaluating vaccines to prevent HIV and COVID-19. But their impact doesn't stop there. The HVTN is at the forefront of advancing vaccinology, social and behavioral sciences, statistics, immunology, and even contributing to the research on tuberculosis and COVID-19 vaccines. By supporting Conversations with Clergy, the HVTN not only brings you thought-provoking discussions, but also contributes to the global effort to combat infectious diseases. Tune in, stay informed, and be a part of the change. Conversations with Clergy, supported by the HVTN, empowering conversations, empowering lives. Join us in this journey of knowledge, understanding, and progress. Conversations with Clergy, proudly brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, because together we can make a difference.
Because self-care should be luxurious. Luxe Noir.
Elevate your entertainment with Watch Vim. Discover the ultimate online streaming destination. Get an auto-renewing monthly subscription for unlimited content on all devices. Join us in supporting a Black-owned streaming platform that brings top-tier entertainment. Let the streaming excitement begin at Watch Vim, your seamless experience for endless entertainment. Stream online or download the Watch Vim app now.
Hey pilots, did you know that you can now catch the electrifying sounds of Bulletin Flight Radio anywhere you go? Yes, you heard it right. Tune in to the high-flying beats and soaring melodies by downloading the TuneIn app on your mobile device. Just search for Bulletin Flight Radio and hit play. It's that easy. And if you have a smart device like Alexa or Google, just say, "Hey Google," or "Alexa, play Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn." Experience the rush of adrenaline wherever you are. Listen to Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn using your Alexa or Google devices. Soaring through the skies has never sounded this good. Don't miss out on the ultimate musical journey. Tune in now to Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn and let the music take you on an unforgettable ride. Get ready to elevate your listening experience. Brought to you by Bulletin Flight Radio.
And we are back. So again, this month we're going to focus on mental health. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm a Black woman, so we're going to talk about it from a Black woman's perspective. One of the things that I think is so important for us is to address the idea or the notion that there is a lot that happens in our communities that kind of prevents us from being open about our mental health issues, to being afraid to discuss or talk to people about what's really happening, with us. And one of the things I said was stigma. I used the word stigma. And actually, I need to correct myself because I pulled up some information from a federal organization that's focusing on reframing language. I think it's SAMHSA, and I forgot what the acronym for SAMHSA is. I think it has something to do with mental health and substance abuse. But actually, the word or the term stigma in regards to being referred to in, mental health or issues like that is actually outdated. So I think one of the things is having the right language for us to talk to each other and trying to remember to use language that is affirming to people and actually helps them to be okay with trying to get the help that they need. Because sometimes, again, culturally for Black women specifically, we are taught that we have to be strong. We have to take everything. We have to push through. And I know I named my book that. But there, in some situations, I think we have to say, you know what? Are you okay? How are you doing? And leave it to where we can have very real conversations about how people are doing and making sure they get the help that they need. But if we use words like stigma, or if we call people crazy, or say things like cuckoo, like that does not really help to erase some of that prejudice and discrimination against people that are suffering from mental illness or need mental health services. And it actually causes people to shut down and be afraid to kind of ask for that help. So I'm looking this way, you guys. Apologies, but I have my notes over here. I'm trying to be, technological, up in the new millennial type thing, and I got my tablet over here. But I want to tell you some of the words that we need to think about trying to remove from our vocabularies. So instead of saying stigma, you can say prejudice and discrimination. Instead of saying awareness, you can say acceptance. And I was like, well, what's wrong with awareness? And it says being aware doesn't call for action. Wow. Change in behavior or thinking. So just because you're aware of something, you don't, the action isn't behind it. So it's really, well, hey, wait a minute. It said Mental Health Awareness Month. So then we shouldn't say that. We should say Mental Health Acceptance Month, that we should be actively working to create a world where people's mental health is prioritized. So it shouldn't be mental health awareness, it should be mental health acceptance, because awareness is just like, oh yeah, I see you. Okay, yeah, you over there. But where is the action of I'm going to come over there and actively help you? So actually, I get that. But I was like, what's wrong with awareness? Suffering from a mental illness is outdated. You should say experiencing or living with a mental illness. People who experience mental health conditions can and do live healthy, fulfilling lives. Suffering implies one is unwell, unhappy, or can't recover. That is very important to kind of take away sort of that suffering from, and just say someone is living with or experiencing, because it implies that's, well, because I'm this, that I'm suffering. And it's like, no. And there's some other things that they talk about too. For example, instead of saying something like alcoholic or addict or drug abuser, you should say people who experience substance use challenges, because we are very aware that substance abuse or substance use, can really be an issue where people need mental health assistance or help with that. So it's, instead of calling them alcoholic, you use what they call person first language. They're people first, right? Beyond anything else. So saying alcoholic actually really just kind of sounds bad. And let's see, it says, avoid words that suggest a lack of quality of life for people with substance use concerns. Terms like addict reduce a person's identity, deny dignity or humanity, and imply powerlessness or the inability to recover. So yeah, those are just some things that I want to bring up to your attention. How we talk about mental health, how we talk about mental illness can also be either helpful or harmful, especially in our communities, because we're quick to kind of be like, that person is this or that. And then we don't really stop to figure out how we can help them. Another thing to be real, to be fair about, is in some of our communities, we are already underserved. We don't have enough grocery stores. We don't have public transportation. We don't have parks. We also don't have a lot of mental health services. A lot of times your insurance doesn't pay for it. It's expensive. And so even that can be a barrier. So even if you are aware and able to engage someone and ask them if they need help, it can be hard to even provide that help. The good news is that there are some services that are out there. I've seen a lot of them advertised where you can pay per session. You can find someone that is licensed to help you with your issues and have someone to talk to. And there's even some specifically for, say you want an LGBTQ therapist, you want a Black therapist, you want a therapist that understands your needs, because there's nothing worse than having to now have to explain your culture and your life to someone, because that's extra time spent. Like I'm paying you to help me, and I got to explain myself to you. Like where you gonna pay me to help you understand me so that we can do this? So it's really good to find those types of services that offer that. And some of them also talk a lot about finding a therapist that fits for you. And if it doesn't fit, you just move on. Because I think even old school Gen X me, we get a doctor and we feel like, well, that's our doctor. We have to respect, that doctor. And it's like, no, you can change doctors if you don't mesh well. Same thing with your therapist or your counselor or whoever else you're working to help you through whatever issues you're having. So that's kind of the one thing that I wanted to talk about. And then the second thing is our historical trauma and resilience. And next week, you're going to see an episode I did with another member of the Pyro Media Network. And she asked me about resilience. And I actually told her I do not like the word resilience. I feel like that we are the only, and we may not be the only culture, but I feel like that sometimes, that are expected to always bounce back. We're expected to always take the hit, and we're supposed to kind of stand back up. And it's like, don't nobody else go through that. I don't want to do that no more. I just want to be myself. I just want to be who I am and show up the way that I am. And that's it. I don't want to have to withstand. I don't want to have to push, I don't want to have to do that. And so it's just really interesting that this conversation is coming up about historical trauma and resilience. But the reality is, especially for Black women, we have been taught over the years, over generations, since we got to this country, that we have to withstand and we have to take in and we have to be strong. And others don't necessarily have to get that same message and that same lesson. And I think what happens is the impact of that, having to stand up and be strong, is that our health suffers, our physical health and our mental health suffers. I have a friend that I really respect, Vonda Page, and another friend, Tammy Triolo. And I got to speak to her. I know the producer would be happy to hear that I actually talked to her on the phone. I was like, oh my God, fangirl moment. But Vonda has always said, listen, for Black women, there's an expectation for them to be three things: either the mammy, the messenger, or the mule. And if you think about those three things, mammy, being the mom of everybody, if you watch any of my podcast episodes, Delay talked about that in her workspace. And she said, dang, I didn't know that he wanted me to be the mama and offer these employees my breast and to breastfeed them. Or I don't know if you watched a clip on LinkedIn or anywhere else recently where Drew Barrymore, is that who she is, asked the vice president of the United States, can she be our mamala? We need her to mother us. Like, we always expected to be somebody mammy, right? Or the messenger, right? We got to be the ones to stand up and say something and be the ones to speak up because nobody else is going to speak up. Or the mule or the workhorse. I'm trying to get my T, y'all, and the thing ain't let go. Or the mule. And think about the impact of all those three roles and how they can really mess up our mental health, really cause us to have anxiety, to cause us to have other types of issues where we are experiencing trauma and fear and all these other things and not having an outlet. So even that historical trauma can epigenetically sort of live in our bodies. And if we don't know or are not aware of how to address those things, we suffer. Another thing I'll talk about is, in my research, I found out or came across this concept of self-silencing. Where, for example, one of my participants, a Black woman, said, I guess I just gonna have to, shut up and just deal with it. Shut up and take it until, I figure out somewhere else to be. And what I did was when I saw that come up in my research, I was like, what is that? And so I did my research. And self-silencing has been documented specifically among Black women as a way to protect ourselves. It has been a life-saving measure during slavery. Like, I gotta be quiet to survive. But again, think about the cost of that silence and what it does to our lives. So just some things to think about in regards to our mental health, specifically as Black women. Next, I'll talk about those barriers to access in mental health care, and I kind of touched on them already. So a lot of us, or not a lot of us, but there are a number of Black folk in these communities that don't have access to medical insurance and have to rely on public services for their physical and mental health. Again, sometimes it can take a long time to get help to get access to therapy, to get access to other types of services for mental health. And so even if you're aware that you're suffering, it can take a while to get in to get that kind of care. Thankfully, as I mentioned earlier, there have been some new developments, right? You can kind of pay by session and get your mental health services from a number of websites. There are places where you can go to find mental health professionals that will cater to who you are, so you don't have to do that work in advance to get them up to speed about you as a Black person. And I think that has been really helping to sort of normalize mental health as a viable, you need to take care of your mental health just like you need to take care of your physical health. Just like you should be concerned about your blood pressure, you should also be worried about what's happening in your heart and in your head, right? But there are barriers, and I think we need to do more work to address those barriers. So once we get to a space where people are comfortable kind of sharing and disclosing and being open, we now need to really work on making sure they now have somewhere to go. But I'm grateful that we have sort of began to normalize accessing those kinds of services. I wish there was a day where those things were free, or they were just as simple as walking up to a free clinic and you just walk in and get that help. That would be amazing. And one of the last things I'll talk about is kind of, I've been talking about all along. It's funny how I do that to myself. Cultural competence in those mental health services. I don't think anybody ever wants to go into a space and be vulnerable with someone, talk about what's happening in their lives, seeking help, wanting to move forward, wanting to get resolution, and be sitting across from someone that is like, so what? Tell me again. What is it like to be a Black person? I don't understand. Or you as a person is really talking about something that's very significant in your culture that may be nuanced, and the therapist is kind of like, I don't know, right? You don't want to have that experience. To me, that could actually be more harmful than not going at all. To me, and I maybe someone can, help me figure that out. Maybe that's not the case, but I feel like talking to the wrong therapist is actually more harmful than not talking to one at all, because they can actually cause more harm. What if you are a victim of sexual violence? What if you have been abused and your therapist is not able to talk to you or help you through that because that's not their area of expertise? I feel like that could be harmful, right? What if you are a member of the LGBTQ community? What if you are a person with a disability and you have special concerns or needs, and that person is not able to help you? Again, I feel like that's worse. Going in, it's already a big deal to go into that space, right? And try to have that conversation. And then now it's like, well, they actually didn't help me. I think that's actually worse off. So again, I think cultural competence is so important on so many levels in helping people address their mental health concerns. And we have to do a better job of training people, and also making sure that people from varied backgrounds actually get into the field of mental health. And I think that is true even with regular, quote unquote, physical health care. Like, I need to be able to go into the doctor and see, or either see the physician or the nurse practitioner or whoever, and they understand me, and I don't have to, have these conversations around certain things. There have been videos I've seen on TikTok where women with textured hair like I have, who were concerned about a medical procedure, and then the clinicians are like, just shave it off. And then it's like, no. And one nurse that looks like me is like, no way, we can do this differently. We can do this. We can save your hair. It's okay. You don't have to shave your hair off, right? But it takes, again, that cultural competency, that person in that space to be able to say, wait, we don't have to do it that way. We can do it this way, and you can still get what you need and not be dismissed. And I saw a comment a second ago. Yeah, thank you for confirming that, because I really feel like, the wrong therapist can actually cause harm and create deeper trauma. Absolutely. So I'm grateful that there are more resources but I feel like there's still more to be done and more that can be done to really make things a lot better for everyone, especially Black folk that are trying to access mental health services. So I'll end. I have a couple of one thing I want to share before I end. I'll be a little transparent and vulnerable in this space. I actually had never had to access therapy or go to therapy, do anything like that for, I'm 45, and it never occurred to me, not to say that I didn't need it. I probably did. Right. I probably did on a number of occasions in my life, but I had not done it, probably because I felt like it wasn't accessible, probably because I wasn't sure how to access it. I think my health insurance at one time, it was something like, okay, we'll pay for 5 sessions, or we'll give you 5 sessions and it's cost this much. And then after that, it's something, but it seemed complicated to enter into the system, if that makes sense to you. Like, I didn't understand it quite. Now, last summer, I had some things happen I won't go into detail about, where I was like, okay, this ain't right. I don't feel well. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm replaying it in my head. I'm having some anxiety. I'm feeling away. And I finally said, you know what, let me have a conversation with the therapist. And I asked a friend, hey, who do you work with? And they gave me a recommendation. And so I was able to meet with the therapist. Now, the funny thing is, for me, I felt like, and she talked me through some things. She said, it sounds like you have some anxiety. It sounds like there's some things going on here. But I think for her, she probably was like, you fine, you're okay. But she did kind of help me through what was happening. And I think that's important, in a way forward. And, for me, I'm like, okay, I'm having this thing that's going on, and I'm not sure what to do next. So she kind of helped me put a words to what I was experiencing. And then she gave me a path forward. And I met with her maybe 4 or 5 times, and it was really helpful. It wasn't like what I thought therapy was. I kind of always thought it was like lay on the couch and like you just talk. And I don't know, it was more of a conversation. I don't know, it was really an interesting thing, but it was very, very helpful. Now, I will say there was one incident where I called her back for like a follow-up, and I think even I had stumped her. She was like, girl, I don't even, and she didn't say it this way, but I feel like she was like, girl, I don't even know, because what's happening to you is wild. I don't even have an answer for you. And I was like, I appreciate your honesty. I said, did I stop the therapist? She don't even know. She said, girl, I don't know what to tell you. But again, she was a Black woman. She could talk to me that way. And I was fine with that. And I understood and respected that. So yeah, again, we're going to have some follow-up conversations on this. Next week, we're going to kind of take a little bit of a diversion, because I'm going to replay an episode. As I mentioned earlier, Tasha Champion, also on the Pyro Media Network, interviewed me, and her episode, I think it aired yesterday, but it was such a good episode, and I think it's a good way for a lot of you are new to me, to hear my story. And some of it in there is going to be some mental health challenges, because I was a former teen mom. I had all these other things happening in my life, and so you'll hear sort of me talk through it. I mean, these things happened 20 something years ago. Me talking about them today from a totally different perspective. It was quite interesting. So we're going to replay that, and I'm really excited about that. And again, I'm hoping on week 3 of this month to have a mental health professional come on and really dig deep, and see what we find with that as well. So we're almost done. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining me this week. As always, you can find me on my website at www.nicoledvick.com. Also, you can find me on social media. I'll probably start posting more again, because, life is different for me now. I don't have class. I don't have a dissertation. I'm like, what am I going to do with myself, y'all? What the heck? So I'll be on, TikTok, LinkedIn, and all those good things, more and more these days. You can also pick up my books. They're on my website as well. I have my first book, Pushing Through Finding the Light in Every Lesson. my second book, Push Through 52 Weeks of Light and Tough Times. This book here, Triumph in the Trenches, which is an anthology with 20 plus other authors. It helps you navigate the workplace. It's like the Green Book, but for Black working people. We trying to help y'all. And some of that is going to touch on some mental health stuff up in there, okay? All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. And tune in next week for that replay of that interview. It was amazing. You're going to hear some real things from me. And that's it. That's all. I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.